So good evening, fellow grow givers. Look, what I want to talk about this evening is one of the common and quite frankly one of the biggest mistakes new entrepreneurs make as it relates to understanding the connection between having big goals, high enthusiasm, and building high performance teams. And look, at the end of the day, one of the biggest signs that an entrepreneur is headed down the wrong path is when they begin to talk about their business, utilizing terms that, indicate that they're shrinking, indicate that they feel demure about their business. Like you'll hear entrepreneurs talk about the ideal of, I'm building this little business, or I got this little thing, or, they just speak in a very demure way about their business. And, number one, success is an inside job, right? So you're the first to hear your words before you articulate them. So if you are already starting right out the gate, looking at your business as some small or little insignificant thing, you're already in trouble. Look, at the end of the day, one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs also make, and this is like a reflection of that thought process, right? This is why this happens, because they're already thinking that this is just some small thing, right? And what ends up happening is entrepreneurs, quite frankly, treat their businesses like lemonade stands. And what do I mean by that? Well, number one, not being willing to invest in their business, right? When you're simply treating your business as a hustle, it's just some little thing that you're doing on the side to make some money, right? That's the bag. That's the extent of the bag, is to make a couple bucks. Well, look, you're not going to invest in the books. You're not going to invest in seminars. You're not going to take the trainings. You're not going to invest in personal development, mentorship, and guidance. You're just going to try to wing it, if you will, right? And we've all heard the maxim, right, that at the end of the day, people don't wake up in the morning planning to fail. They simply fail to plan. Well, when you don't really regard your business as something that is going to take you above and beyond your current circumstances, besides just getting a little bit of breathing room, nothing wrong with that. But for those who have ambitions to grow their business above and beyond that, right, to actually create a situation where you achieve financial independence, if your mindset is that of a lemonade stand owner, well, you're only going to get so far, right? Not being disciplined, right? There's something wrong going on out here in the marketplace. I'm about to go there. So there's something wrong. There's this mindset that's being articulated. It's very convenient. It feels nice and warm and fuzzy, right? That somehow you can achieve this degree of balance in business, and that it's not supposed to be hard, and that if you're stressing out or if you're in a situation where you are being strained, that something's wrong. And the reality of the matter is, entrepreneurship is difficult, right? I'm not going to give you the Facebook, Instagram, candy coated story. Entrepreneurship is difficult. If it wasn't, everybody would do it. The bottom line is, I remember early on, before I made the decision to choose entrepreneurship, and I remember doing the math in my mind. I was working at the time in the banking industry, and I was sitting down in my chair, and I was looking at the computers, and I was looking at the desk and the glass windows and the security and everything that was there. I was looking at the telecommunication systems and the computer systems, and I had been trained on the software, understanding the software, and I realized that as I was sitting there, somebody made a decision, whether it was 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, to sacrifice. Somebody made a decision to grow this business when it was just simply an ideal bouncing around in their skull. Somebody put down that first loan, went in the hole, spent sleepless nights, slept on the floor. Somebody paid a price so this business could be here today. And the bottom line is, when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur, what I was thinking was, well, how am I going to replace this stuff? I have all this infrastructure around me, and there's a cost to this, right? And I remember thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to build a business that's going to attract 100K or 250K talent, how much revenue does my business have to generate, right, to be able to afford that type of talent? Because you're going to need that type of talent to grow and scale. And I'm going to come back around to that in a moment. But I remember thinking about that. And I think that's the thing that entrepreneurs oftentimes take for granted, right? You want to build or have this grandiose endeavor and not realize that there's going to be some blood, sweat, and tears. You're going to pay one or two ways. Now, most of us, including myself, when I was starting out, I didn't have any money. So I knew I was going to pay via sweat equity, right? You're either going to pay up front with a lot of capital, go out and buy McDonald's, spend between, I don't know, a million, upwards of 2.5 million, depending on the market that you're in total to launch that McDonald's. I think right now what they want a minimum of about 500K and liquid assets. And then the franchise fee, if my recollection is correct, is somewhere north of $40,000. And so if you're going to go all in, you're going to spend that $1.45 million to have a franchise system that's already put together that you really don't, it's turnkey, right? Which is why it's been one of the most successful franchises in the world. But the average Joe doesn't have that type of capital. So if you don't have the money to do that, you're going to have to pay another way. That's going to be sweat equity. That's going to be time. That's going to be acquiring skills and talents, working out intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, exercising muscles you haven't utilized before. It's going to cause soreness, right? So it's just this falsehood that's out here that it's going to be all, I don't know, milk and honey when you're starting up your business. Look, there's not going to be much in the way of balance when you're first starting out. Not when you're launching. It's going to be painful. Just think about it for a moment. If you're learning new skills, if you're exercising new muscles you haven't utilized before, there's going to be some soreness afterwards, right? That's all it is to it. And so, okay, I digress a little bit, but once again, if you're treating your business like a lemonade stand, if you have this small attitude about your business, you're not going to be willing to pay the price. You're not going to be willing to do the things you need to do to be successful. You're not going to be willing to be disciplined. Being disciplined is doing the thing you said you would do long after enthusiasm and excitement has left you. So you're still doing the thing you said you do, even when it's not fun, as if it's still fun. You're still giving it the same energy, right? And it's difficult to get up if you are treating your business like a lemonade stand, right? Not willing to be accountable. Not willing to allow someone else to mentor you, or allow someone else, quite frankly, to jump up in your derriere sometimes and let you know, hey, you slacking, right? That lack of accountability, a lot of times business owners have this attitude, well, new entrepreneurs, to put it that way, have this attitude that somehow by becoming an entrepreneur, I'm going to escape accountability. I'm going to escape responsibility. I'm going to escape a boss. And nothing can be further from the truth. The bottom line is, if you're going to scale and build a big business, you're going to be accountable to your employees, right? They're relying upon you to be a CEO, to create environments of opportunity where they can come to work and follow through on what is expected of them and be compensated enough money to take care of their families. You're accountable to them. You're accountable to your own family, right? If you're spending time away from your family to build the business, you got to have receipts. You got to come back with something. You got to have something to show, right? You have to be accountable to your vendors. You have to be accountable to your partners. You have to be accountable to any and everyone who has some type of financial investment in the welfare of your business. So you have multiple bosses. You don't somehow escape accountability and responsibility. But once again, if you're treating your business with a lemonade stand attitude, you don't make the connection. You don't do the math, right? And here's a question I guess I would pose to individuals to really put in perspective. Let's go back to that McDonald's. Let's say you invest $1.5 million to $2 million in a business, and you know that if you fail, that money's gone. It's a loss, right? I mean, for some of us, $50,000. Imagine losing $50,000. We'd have a conniption about it. What about 1.5, $2 million, right? Imagine if you made an error in judgment that resulted in you losing that business and going 1.5 to $2 million in debt. Imagine that. And think about how much energy you would give to make sure you were willing to take the time to learn that business inside and out. Think about how much energy you would give to make sure you had the right mentors around so you wouldn't fail, so you don't go 2.5 million in the hole. Think about the books you read. I mean, if there was a booklet that came with that business and how to operate it correctly, man, you would know that book from front to back. If you knew you had a business that could be taken and stripped from you, if you made a simple error in judgment, or if you didn't follow rules or protocols, or you didn't follow compliance, if you didn't follow best practices, some authority somewhere would come and snatch that business from you. You no longer have the business, you put in all the sweat, equity, and time, and you lost your money on top of it. Stop it. You would go in, right? You would exercise the type of discipline that your family and friends have never seen before if you knew your behind was on the line for 2.5 million, right? The attitude comes before the altitude. You cannot expect your business to compensate you like you would expect a business to compensate a multi-millionaire if you're not willing first to have the millionaire attitude, which is the willingness to put in the work, the willingness to grind, the willingness to learn the things you need to learn. The moment I hear an entrepreneur talking about something they're not going to do, something they don't have time to do, the moment the words come out of your mouth, I'm not going to do this because I can't afford it, that's the reason why you should do it. The moment you start to articulate, I'm not going to do this in my business, I don't have time, that's the reason why you should do it, right? It's different when you say, I'm not going to do this because it goes against my values. It's different if you say, I'm not going to do this because it cuts against my core focus or the people I want to help or the plans I had designed for myself. It's antithetical to the lifestyle I want to build for myself. But if the only reason why you're not doing something is because you lack the time or because you lack the funds to do it, that means you should do it. That means you should find a way. Your excuse should become your reason for doing it, right? Because 9 times out of 10, that thing that you supposedly don't have time to do, that you really don't have time not to, the thing that you say you cannot afford to do, the thing that you should do, you should find a way to afford to do it, is the thing that's going to help you level up and liberate yourself. And that's what I mean. Like, you have to get out of the lemonade stand attitude as it relates to your business. I mean, you treat your business like a hobby, you're going to get hobby money. And that's what some of us are doing. We're treating our business like hobbies, right? I want you to consider it like this, right? You're going to have to build a business. If you really want it to compensate you 80K, 100K, 200K, 500K, you pick a number, but let's go with the 250K, right? You want the business to pay you 250K. I want you to think about the type of talent you need to have in that business in order for it to pay you that way. Now, look, I want to make a clear delineation. There's a difference between being a self-employed person that's earning that type of income. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, you can be a real estate agent, and depending on your circumstances, right? You can cut that before. It's not say real estate investor. It's another conversation another time. But you can be a real estate agent. The bottom line is, if you're self-employed, the moment you get into an accident, the moment you are injured or sick, the bottom line is you are removed from the equation, and that business falters. That's what it means to be self-employed. I'm talking about building a business where you have individuals who are accountable, who are implementing systems, who are responsible for certain things, so you no longer have to be. A situation where you've built an asset, a business, an organism, if you will, and that organism continues to breathe and grow and develop. And as a leader, you may be providing the leadership for the organism, but the bottom line is that organism is going to function whether you're there or not. This is what I'm talking about, right? When we talk about the bag here, that's what we're talking about. Building an organism that functions, grows, develops, matures independently of you, absent your leadership, right? And the intrinsic and particular experiences or idiosyncrasies you may bring to the table to create a unique value proposition, right, with that business. So that's what I mean. Now, in order to build that, you're going to bring in some real talent. In order to build a business that's going to pay you $250 or $500K per year or above, you're going to need to attract talent that has capacity to do the type of work, to bring the type of value to the marketplace, to build an organism that is going to be that healthy, that strong, and that robust, right? Let's assume your value prop is on point. Let's assume you know who your target market is. Let's say your systems are solid. You're going to need people to come in and implement it. And the bottom line is, high achievers, they're big game hunters. They're big game hunters. And game recognizes game. High achievers, individuals who are accustomed to earning 100 to 250 and above, they don't have small goals. You can't have small goals and grind and work that hard to get there. I'm not talking about athletes. I'm not talking about entertainers. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking about individuals who typically get theirs early on. Typically, high achievers, professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners, they got it out the dirt. It took them 10, 15, 20 years to develop the talent, skills, experience, and network to earn the type of income that they have become accustomed to. And they worked hard to get there. They worked very hard to get there. They paid the price. They went in debt in school, and they ate shit on the way up the ladder, okay? And so these individuals recognize game. They're not going to get involved in a business where the business owner articulates their endeavor as something that's small or minuscule or something insignificant. They're not going to be attracted to that because that's not That's not how high performers and high achievers work. They're looking for big things. In order to sacrifice the way they sacrifice, they had to have big goals. That's why you have to be enthusiastic. That's why you have to be on 10. That's why your belief needs to be like above on 10, right? Because you won't do what you need to do to climb the ladder of success and reach those type of peaks and become elite absent that type of belief, absent that type of energy, absent that type of passion, enthusiasm. And so if you don't have it, it's going to be hard for you to attract it. Because once again, look, high achievers and high performers are also very enthusiastic about their thing. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is birds of a feather flock together. And if you want to attract the talent that's required or for your business to scale and grow, you have to adopt a different type of attitude and type of approach. People know, right? High achievers typically want to hang out with other high achievers. They want to interact. They say iron sharpens iron. That's a lie. Sharp iron sharpens iron, right? You can be experienced doing a lot of the wrong things, right? So the bottom line is, if you want to be able to build a large business, you have to create an environment that is fertile for the type of talent and individuals you need to level up and grow that organism, right? You have to understand that high achievers are very much pursuing upon rewards and performance. And if you're not living up to that standard, they're going to sniff you out. And I'm not talking about faking it, okay? Because I know there's some individuals who are listening and they say, well, what if you don't have the money? What if you don't have the experience? What if you don't have the accoutrements of success yet? Well, look, once again, what if you could be in the process of becoming these things? High achievers or high performers can see that too. If they smell a good opportunity and someone who's on the cusp of having a breakthrough, they'll stick around out of curiosity or even participate or even help you level up if they believe in what it is that you're doing. But number one, it has to be belief predicated upon that you're going to build something that's big enough to accommodate their goals, their ambitions, and the things they want to do to protect and grow wealth and take care of their families. And so I wanted to have this conversation because I want people to win. At the end of the day, I want people to win. I believe entrepreneurship is empowerment, but the only way it really becomes empowerment where you build something that's big enough to not only feed your family, but also feed your neighborhood and contribute positively to the ecosystem, where you really begin to create wealth, not just for yourself, but for others around you, right? Create an apple orchard that can not only feed your family, feed the community. Is you have to level up, you have to scale, you have to grow, right? So, hey, as always, celebrate success in advance. Goodbye for now.